Welcome back to Gear Review Part 2, where I talk about the non-clothing stuff that I carried in my backpack. So we start off with the Durston X Mid Pro 2. Love the tent, love the tent, love the tent. I'll do a review on that at some point. Did have one issue when I slept in that really bad windstorm that one night. The part tore off. If you watched the videos, you saw how I tried to repair it a couple times. Still isn't fixed. So I'm going to do something else that I saw someone else do with who had the same problem. But love the tent, man, love the tent. This will be the only tent I'll use from now on. Fantastic. The sit pad, it was really nice to have that. I mean, a cheap little sit pad thing. Most of the time carried that on the top of my backpack, so when we took a break, you could just put that down, you know, if you're sitting on grass or wood or something like that. It's really nice to have. Also used it when I was sleeping in the tent, like on uneven ground. Sometimes this would just kind of help to make the sleeping pad a little bit more level. So really nice to have. As light as they are, as cheap as they are, it certainly has a lot of value to it. Then the sleeping pad that I had, which again, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, there it is, the Thermarest. And I'll put on here what the name of it is. But I love this sleeping pad. Man, it was a lot quieter than ones I've had in the past. And so I'll stick with this one. When they upgrade it, I'll get the new one. I really love the Thermarest pad. The Seated Summit pillow, this was kind of my luxury item. I love a pillow. I know other people used their old clothes or something like that in a stuffed sack. I just really enjoyed it. The little strap that my wife sewed on the back would hold it to the sleeping pad. And for, again, as light as it is, it was a really nice thing to have at nighttime when I was sleeping. This was the replacement food bag that I got, 20-liter dry bag for the food that I carry all my food in that. Replacement because a rat ate the first one, or ate through the first one to get some trail mix. But yeah, it was easy. It was a nice grocery bag when I would go into town. No problems with it. Here I had my notepad. I did most of my diary work on my videos, but I did every day write down different notes and statistics and keep track of finances and all that. And it was just nice to have at the end of the night. This knife here, the Gerber armbar, yeah, it has a knife and it has a pair of scissors. And that's all I needed on the trail. Super, really nice piece of equipment there. Sunglasses, yep, the Gooder sunglasses. I used them some days, sometimes I didn't. It was nice to have. This was a nice little, again, a little bit of a luxury item, but it's a thermometer. And I just enjoyed knowing what the temperature was. I enjoyed knowing, I enjoyed knowing how cold it got at nighttime. It was just nice to have. So I carried my driver's license, which I think I needed for a couple hotels or backpacking places that we stayed at. Cash, always good to have cash with you. 20s, 10s, and 5s. Carry 50 and you have to break it somewhere. So 20, 10s, and 5s, carry a bunch of those. I have my FPOS card, which I use most of the time, and then a credit card for emergencies. I will tell you, if you can sort it out, try to get an FPOS card that is not the tap that you actually have to slide through. It just saves a surcharge. But yeah, so definitely have cash, credit, and FPOS card when you're walking TA. The poop kit, toilet paper and hand sanitizer with my shovel. I used that a number of times on the trail. Good to have. Please dig cat holes if you're going to have to relieve yourself in the wild. This, man, I love this water filter, the VersaFlow. I will definitely get another one, but as you can see in that little window, it started looking pretty bad. And actually, that looks a lot better than what it was earlier. So I did replace this in Wanaka, and I'll get a new one of these. the Knock bag, or Kanaka, however you pronounce that. Really good, very sturdy. I didn't have any problems with it. I did add a carabiner to the top so I could hang that in a tree. Then I attached that there, and then well, the other way around. And then I'd screw a bottle in here and just hang that up in a tree or a nail at the hut, and it would do all the filtering without me having to be there. I'll show you in a minute what I got as a replacement in Wanaka. Then we come over here to my kind of repair first aid area. So I had a lot of patches and stuff like that for the tent, for the sleeping pad. And I used a couple of patches after the windstorm. It just to kind of reinforce some areas that looked a little bit weak. This also has tenacious tape. I used that on the sleeping bag, as you heard on the last video. But I also used this in the tent when I got a little bit of a hole in the tent floor, and that really worked well. I tried to use this for the part that pulled out during the windstorm, but it just wouldn't hold. But tenacious tape is really good to have, and I found you can get that now here. I think I got this at Mitre 10 here in New Zealand. Plasters, used a couple of them. Compeed, I used a whole bunch of these. Really good to have. You get a blister. I mean, people talk about blister, get the needle or the thread and dig it out. I just would put a Compeed over top of the blister and leave it for about 5 days. And when the pad fell off, the blister was repaired. So really good to have these guys. Here was the medicine that I took, Imodium, which I never used, some Panadol, which I never used. I did use the vitamin I, or the ibuprofen, a number of times, and man, that was really helpful to have. I don't like taking ibuprofen, but there are some days my knees are just screaming and I needed it. I took an extra box of matches. It kind of got demolished in the pack. Never used them, but still nice to have. Took a couple of emergency fire starters. Never used them, but again, nice to have. This is where I had on my gear video a couple more of those toe spacers. I ditched those and replaced it with a spare one of these guys to put on my toe if I needed it. This was my sewing kit. I had a needle in a nice little plastic container, and I can't find it right now, but I did use that a couple of times, so really good to have. The bug net I used maybe 3 or 4 times, not as much as I thought I would, yeah, I probably wouldn't mess with it again if I went again. These nice heavy-duty sandwich bags, I used it for this material, and I also used it for my toiletries. The toiletries bag, I just got a big hole in it and I threw it away. But let's talk about the toiletries. So I had taken some clothespins and like 4 safety pins, but I ended up deciding to not take the clothespins, and I bought some of these little diaper safety pins, nappy safety pins. Never used those, so I wouldn't take those again. But these were nice to hang socks off the back of the backpack. And I think I only really used one, but I'd probably take a couple of them in case you lose them. Dental flosser, I use that quite a bit. I did change that out, by the way. I didn't use the same one the whole way through. Here I had gurney goo, which really worked well, but it was a real small tube and went through it pretty quick. So when I had the back rash, I got this stuff here. And that kind of cleared it up pretty well, but that's a pretty big tube. So at Christmas time, I ditched that and used this as well, as my son uses after he gets a tattoo. And so I used that a few times for like chafing that back rash when it came back, and that worked out really well. I had a little tiny toothbrush that I got off a backpacking gear shop that I used like twice, and I thought, nah, not doing that again. So I actually went and got a real toothbrush and use a real tooth. Now, I did cut it, but I didn't cut it to save grams. I cut it to make certain that it could fit in this bag. So I went through about, I think 4 razors the entire time. Fingernail clippers were really helpful. I took this so that if I get a blocked up nose, never used it. Chapstick, I used quite a bit. Actually, that's the second one I went through. And let's see, earplugs, there's not any in it, but there's a little case that I used. Man, telling you, earplugs, most important thing you can have in a hut, and even in a tent, because people around you are snoring. Earplugs. People say, I can't sleep with earplugs. Well, then practice. And if you can't sleep with earplugs, don't complain about what you hear in the middle of the night. But I used earplugs almost all the time, never had a problem with sleeping or any other problems. Soap, that was my second soap bar there. And I used toothpaste tabs I got off a backpacking gear thing. It's nice to have, but toothpaste is fine as well. Now here is what I used, it represents what I used as replacement for what I had originally taken. In the gear video, I was experimenting with some B vitamin drops that you put under your tongue and some electrolyte drops that you put in your water. And I used those probably about the first, I don't know, maybe the first quarter of the hike, but it just got really unwieldy. And so what I ended up doing is I started just using Baraka in my water in the morning, as you heard on one of the other gear videos. I got this Boost stuff. They make a vitamin C. They also made a magnesium that was kind of nice at the end of a long day. And that's pretty much what I used the rest of the way, those. This Sandfly, oh, and I also had, on the gear video, the original gear video, sunscreen. It's not here now, obviously. I think I used it all up. Didn't use a ton of it, but yeah, it was nice to have. New Zealand sun is pretty brutal, but I used like the hat and the leggings and all that to kind of cover up as well. The Goodbye Sandfly, this stuff really does work. I'm telling you, on the South Island, when I'd put this on my hands, my legs, wherever I didn't want the bugs to be, it worked. Now, I'd have to reapply it every couple hours, but I like there's no chemicals. It's all natural, smells good, and it does keep the sandflies off. So I definitely recommend you get some of that. Cooking stuff, everything worked great. So the 600 mil cook pot toques worked fantastic. This was good as an insulator. I didn't use this very much. This was kind of like an oven mitt. Didn't have to use it very much. The spoon worked great. The stove worked great. I had a lighter here, but I had to get rid of the lighter before I came back on the airplane. This is the gas bottle. I could have done the same thing with the lighter as I did with this. Richie actually brought this because he brought back on the bus. But as I said, I only went through not even 2 of these on the entire trip. And then this was the rubber band that held it all together, and a white cloth. So real happy with that whole gear there. I didn't change anything out on the cooking stuff because it all worked so well. And then finally the electronics. So the gear bag worked well. I did get a hole in it, so it was no longer waterproof, but not a problem. The Garmin watch was great. There's the cable for it. I never had to use the maps that I loaded on, but it was nice having those as a backup. The 2 batteries, the 10,000 milliamp batteries, boy, they worked out really, really well. They would last probably a good 5 days. This is the night core to 5 days. I put this little stuff on there, and I probably want to work a little bit better on it. What I found when I did the Richmonds, that was like 10 days without any charging capability. So I figured these 2 together would last me the whole way through with everything I had to do. Well, when I went through the first one, actually I think it lasted me 6 days because I was really careful how I used my phone battery. I went to get the second one, and somehow the button had been turned on and it had burned through the battery, so that it was completely empty. So what I did is I put this little cardboard up, and just to kind of protect it from being able to be hit so easily, and never had a problem again with it afterwards, but really good. This is the charger that I used for the Garmin batteries. The Telson, it worked great. The Anchor charger worked great, no problems there. I was planning on taking 6 batteries for the Garmin, for the GoPro. I only ended up taking 4, and that was plenty. This was the spare stuff that I needed for recording the GoPro, and I didn't need any more of these. I had one of the GoPro, and I just would fill that up, and then when I was filled up, I would delete the videos and go. So that wasn't a problem. Didn't really need this. I just used this. I had the little mini card, put it in the big card, put that. And I'm going to make a video about how I did these videos and how I edited, so you'll be able to see how that worked out. Cables, no problem. A couple different cables for the C, and then for the iPhone 12 that I had at the time. Headphones, it was nice to have those on long walks. The ones I originally took were white, but one of the earpieces busted, so I had to get new ones. Look, I recommend that you get wired rather than wireless headphones for a couple reasons. It's just, if you get wireless, it's just one more thing you have to charge up somewhere along the way. But the other thing is, a number of times I heard people saying, hey, I'm missing an earbud. Anybody see my earbud? But these things are hard to lose. So definitely would recommend that you get those. Cables to charge up my headlamp. Love this headlamp. Saw not a number of people with almost the exact same headlamp. Matter of fact, next time I'll probably put my name on it somewhere, because there's so many that were just exactly like that one. But I like that 3 bright settings plus a red setting. Really nice to have. The Garmin Mini InReach, really like that. Really accurate weather reporting. So I won't go any hikes without that thing on my chest. And then the GoPro, man, I missed it the first all the way up to Hamilton because I forgot it. Once I got this, it was so much nicer having this attached to my chest with the lanyard and the snap mount. This was the original, the original part that went underneath my shirt. But you can see what happened. The batteries corroded because of the sweat. So at Christmas time, I had to get another piece of that. So I'm gonna have to buy a whole new setup for that. But that, yeah, the snap mount electric, for the GoPro really works well, and I really like that.